16. If there's no discussion, please cast your votes. Motion is carried. Item 17. If there's no discussion, please cast your votes. Motion is carried. Item 18. If there's no discussion, cast your votes. Motion is carried. Item 19. If there's no discussion, cast your votes. Motion is carried. Item 20, 130118. If there's no discussion, excuse me, it looks like, yeah, that's just the title there. So if we go down to 13-0187, Chair recognizes a council member from the 1st District on item A there.
Thank you, Your Honor. On Tuesday evening, we should have made an amendment on there, being if this does go through, we do not have a date on that, and I would make an amendment on that to have it effective 2014 so that it could go into the budget process. Thank you.
If there's no second, all right, we got a second on that. When in 2014?
January of 2014, effective date.
All right, motion on the floor is to amend this to make this effective January 2014. Is there discussion on the amendment? If there's no discussion on the amendment, please cast your votes on this amendment to make this effective January 2014.
Two, 8, and 13. Number 11 abstained.
All right, well, this amendment passes, but the final vote needs a 2/3 majority, so this amendment passes. Chair will recognize a council member from the 6th District.
Thank you, Your Honor. I thought this was supposed to go into effect on 2016. That is, okay.
All right, well, I'll take that as a rhetorical question. That doesn't require answer. Is there any other discussion? The chair will recognize a council member from the 3rd District.
Thank you, Your Honor. Just a clarification on why the 2/3 vote for both these issues.
This is a charter ordinance,
Okay,
which
thank you.
requires a 2/3 vote. All right, is there any other discussion on item 20A? If there is none, please cast your votes.
Two, 9, 13, 15. Number 11 abstained.
The motion has failed. All right, item 20B, is there any discussion? The chair will recognize a council member from the 15th District.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. On Tuesday evening, Councilmember Swans had mentioned combining the salaries and expense accounts into a total of $450, and I don't want to get into the combining, but we've essentially have kept the expense account at 150 based on the last vote. The motion in front of us is to increase the salaries from 200 to 400, which, by the way, is frankly is merited after all of these years of not being increased. But simply given the amount of the increase percentage-wise, I don't know if I'll get a second or not, but I would make an amendment that the salary increase, which does not take effect, I believe, until 2015, be a $100 increase rather than $200 for a total salary of $300 rather than $400.
All right, motion on the floor is to amend to increase from $200 to $300 instead of the current language, which is an increase from $200 to $400. Is there any discussion on the amendment? All right, the amendment is to provide for a $100 increase from the current rate. Current rate is $200. under the ordinance as it is written will be increased to 400. This amendment is to reduce that increase for a total of 300. The increase will be cut in half, yes. So effectively, council pay will be increased from $200 to $300 per month. If there is no other discussion on this amendment, please cast your votes.
Yeses, 1, 9, 14, and 15. 11 noes.
Motion has failed. Is there any further discussion on the main motion on the floor on this ordinance to adjust council salary? Chair will recognize a council member from the 13th district.
Thank you, Your Honor. I struggled a little bit with it, obviously, with this resolution, and you know, the last few years it's been very difficult for the city, the state, and the federal government, and you know, to basically come up with some pay increases for the council, which definitely is overdue. I felt compelled to say no because I think we're asking our employees to bear the burden of the financial problems of the state and of the local government, that I felt that it would be very wrong for myself to vote a increase even though it's back to 2015. You know, looking back at the last couple of years, we've lost 3 firefighters, 1 police officers, 20 plus other people that are in the city alone in the departments. And with money being the way it is, I just are not compelled to go for this, and unfortunately, but that's my feeling, and that's why I'm basically describing why I'm voting no.
Is there any further discussion on this motion? If there is none, please cast your votes.
Noes, 1, 2, 9, 13, 14, and 17.
Motion has failed. All right, moving on, the chair will recognize the council member from the 13th district.
Well, I have a report of bids quotes recommended to be adopted. Number 21 has been canceled out, so we'll start with number 22, 13-0172. Report of bids and resolution awarding contract to Fowler and Hammer Incorporated in the amount of $144,740.50 for 2013 miscellaneous curb and gutter and pavement replacement. Number 23, 13-0173. Reports of bids and resolution awarding contract to Kish and Sons Electric Incorporated in the amount of $89,699, lacrosse parking assess and revenue control system supplemental electrical work. Number 24, 13-0174, report of bids and resolutions awarding contract to Pellinger Electric Incorporated in the amount of $93,505.96 for Cook Street Bridge signalization and lighting. 25, 13-0175, report of bids resolution awarding contract to Steiger Construction Incorporated in the amount of $228,499.90 for the 2013 replacement curb and gutter. And lastly, number 26, 13-0176, report of bids and resolution awarding contract to Strupp Trucking Incorporated in the amount of $139,950 for 2326 Commerce Street demo and site cleanup.
Is there any discussion on these reports of bids and quotes? Okay. All right, the attorney is pointing out the fact that item 26 is closely related to, basically dealing with the same issue as item number 5, that we will be going into executive session to discuss, and recommends that we hold the same out until that executive session. Motion on the floor is to refer item 26 to executive session at the end of the meeting. If there is no discussion, cast your votes on referral of this to the end of the meeting to executive session. Motion is carried. On the remainder of these reports of bids and quotes, items 22 through 25. If there is no discussion, please cast your votes. Motion is carried. The chair will recognize the council member from the 12th district.
Thank you, Your Honor. I have items recommended to be adopted. 2713-0026, a resolution vacating a portion of an alley between 8th Street and 9th Street from Pine Street North to previously vacated alley. Number 2813-0060, a resolution vacating alley between Charles Street and Kane Street from Gillette Street to Rubley Street. Number 2913-0066, resolution directing staff to create a tax incremental district number 15, City of La Crosse, Wisconsin. And item number 3013-0098, a resolution authorizing mayor and city clerk to sign state municipal agreement for reconstruction of South Avenue from Green Bay Street to Ward Avenue. Project ID number 1641-02-024272. That's all I have, Your Honor.
Chair will recognize the council member from the 9th district on item 29.
Thank you, Your Honor. I requested through the city attorney's office a legal opinion, since this involves the train company and I am employed by the train company. The League of Municipalities has ruled that when this item is taken up, that I go out in the audience and sit down and make sure that the city clerk notes the time that I go out, and then when the issue is over with, note the time that I come back. So that's what I'm going to do. Thank you.
All right, Ms. Clerk. 9th district, and if there is no other discussion on item number 29, please cast your votes on item 29. Motion is carried. And on the remainder of these items, if there is no other discussion, cast your votes on the remainder. Motion is carried. The chair will recognize the council president.
Thank you, Your Honor. I've got items 31 through 35, all recommended for adoption. Item 130114 is the resolution approving the release of capital project funds for lighting repairs for the Main Street parking ramp deck repairs project. Number 32, resolution authorizing the trade and swap of the street department used vehicle for a wastewater utility used vehicle and the use of street department residual 2012 capital equipment funds. Number 33, 130121, resolution for LCFD to accept grants from County Community La Crosse Community Foundation and Robert Eleanor and Frankie Foundation for a kitchen fire safety trailer. Number 34 is 13-0124, amended resolution approving 2012 annual compliance report for municipal separate storm sewer system, general permit number WIS 050075-1. And number 35, 13-0125, resolution for Common Council support of the City Vision Downtown Safe Cam project. All for approval, Your Honor.
If there's no discussion on these items, cast your vote. All right, on item 35, if there is no discussion, cast your votes on item 35. Motion is carried. On the remainder, if there's no discussion, Cast your votes on the remainder of these items. Motion is carried. The chair will recognize a council member from the 9th District.
Thank you, Your Honor. I have items 36 through 40, all recommended for adoption. Item 36 is a resolution approving the reorganization of the table of positions and classifications for the Public Works Department and Parking Utility. 37 is an amended resolution approving the release of funds for replacing the elevator car at the Main Street parking ramp. Number 38 is a resolution authorizing the appropriation of funds in conjunction with final adjustments to the 2012 operating budget. And I'm going to ask for a separate roll call because that's a 2/3 vote required. Item 39 is a resolution authorizing Leibowitz Airport Management Consultants to negotiate airline operating agreements. And finally, number 40, resolution authorizing the demolition of the building located at 2805 Vanna Reed Road. That's all I have, Your Honor.
Item 38, if there's no discussion, cast your votes on item 38. Go ahead and put it up.
14 ayes, number 6 did not vote, and number 16 did not vote.
Motion is carried on the remainder. If there's no discussion, cast your votes on the remainder. The motion is carried. The chair will recognize the council member from the 8th District.
Thank you. Before I get started, I have a question for the clerk regarding our board there. Will the captions be more complete in the future? Or I noticed they're incomplete. They're just, in many cases, just the first couple of words that aren't very expressive in many cases.
Ms. Clerk, do you have a response?
Well, let's go back to pen and
Well,
paper.
we'll work to provide
Yeah,
them
that's
more
fine.
complete in the future.
Thank you very much. Number 41 is this is all stuff for recommended for passage. 41 is a resolution authorizing an RFP selection and installation of new parking revenue control equipment for the airport. 42 is a second amended resolution approving the Powell Hood Hamilton Gunderson Lutheran Medical Center Joint Neighborhood Campus Development Plan. Number 43 is an amended resolution authorizing the solicitation of proposals for the completion of a tax increment finance summary report as well as future development agreement analysis, and that will have a separate vote on that item. 44 is a resolution approving transfer of police department trade vehicle for use by the safety coordinator risk manager. And number 45 is a resolution approving a professional services agreement with Ayers Associates for preliminary conceptual engineering feasibility design for a wildlife viewing Eagle Watch area as part of the I-90 Exit 3 reconstruction and appropriation of funds. That's all I
Item
have.
43, if there's no discussion, cast your votes on item 43. Motion is carried on the remainder. All right, item 42, the chair will recognize the council member from the 12th District.
I would just like to recognize this as a really momentous occasion in the history of our city as we launch on this joint agreement between the city and Gunderson Lutheran to provide not only some increased opportunities for healthy living in our community, but also a tremendous opportunity to help revitalize the Powell Hood Hamilton neighborhood. And I didn't want it just to get lost in with all the rest of the votes right now. Thank you.
If there's no other discussion, the chair will recognize the council member from the 13th District.
Thank you, Your Honor. As part of the committee, along with Mr. Sequist, I'm just real proud that this amendment is going through, and already I'm hearing talk through the department heads that things are starting to move as far as the excitement that's going to happen in the Powell Hood Hamilton area. And I truly believe that this is a start of just the beginning of the good things that are going to happen to this city. If you close your eyes and think about what it can happen down in that area, you can visualize the revitalization as it takes place, the change of Hood Park to a nicer looking facility, along with a number of different ideas that are already being put out there. So again, in speaking for Bob and myself, we want to thank the people that were also on that committee as far as the Gunnison Lutheran people. But again, I'm very happy to have presented and been part of this, and look forward to seeing the things that are going to happen over the next few years to make the city and the area better. Thank you.
Is there any other discussion on this item? If there's none, please cast your votes on item 42. Motion is carried on the remainder. If there's no other discussion, cast your votes on the remainder. Motion is carried. The chair will recognize the council member from the 7th District.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Item number 46 recommended for approval is a resolution approving the sale of an excess strip of land abutting property owners at 814 7th Street South. 47, resolution initiating the process to rename the park property known as Hood Park, located on Hood Street between 5th Avenue South and 6th Street South. Item number 48, resolution endorsing the Neighborhood Revitalization Commission Action Plan. 49, resolution authorizing the Parks and Recreation Department and Park Board to negotiate a single-source, multiple-year contract for the citywide removal of ash trees from City of La Crosse locations. And finally, 50, recommended for approval, amended resolution approving developing the Naval Reserve Site as a pocket neighborhood and appropriation of funds for the site planning and architectural services. That's all I have. Thank you.
There's no discussion on these items. Cast your votes. Items 46 through 50. Please cast your votes. Motion is carried. The chair will recognize the council member from the 6th District.
Thank you, Your Honor. I have items 51 through 55, all recommended for adoption. Item 51, resolution accepting the long-range master plan of Viterbo University. Item 52, resolution authorizing the installation of street lighting in the 200 block of Sunset Lane and the 3200 block of Commerce Street and appropriation for same. Item 53, resolution authorizing the installation of street lighting in the 1200 block of La Crosse Street and appropriation for same. Item 54, amended resolution authorizing acceptance of grant money from Safe Kids USA to make pedestrian safety improvements near Southern Bluff Elementary School and reimbursement with same. Item 55, resolution authorizing